children, and she was married. And she wrote me the dirtiest fucking note in I've ever like I've ever read. And she wrote this note. It was like a long letter about how she wanted to blow me and suck my dick and fucking eat my cum and like all this stuff. And it was like extremely hot. And I think that people would think that she was an eight and she had a good body and most like she was seen as somebody who was really attractive there. But I was more interested in chicks my age. Like there's an 8 year difference. And to her, uh, that's not that big of a deal. But to me, I was like, like to date a 26-year-old woman when you're 18. Well, here's the thing: she was married with children, and I remember being like, "Dude, lady, you are fucking married." And she's like, "Yeah, but I don't care. I want you." And so anyway, she wrote me this. We would like exchange letters, and remember, I was there's nothing to do and you're bored. Like any kind of enticement is like super enhanced. Well, the same was, and I remember, like we were on camera and stuff, so um, we had to be like really discreet about things. But she wrote me this like letter, and I went in the bathroom and read it, and it was like very, very sexual to the point where I was like, dude, I control this woman's job because if I give this to our boss, she immediately gets fired. Like it's like not even it's case closed. There's no invest. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That there were there were like 10 women who worked there as tellers, and they were on their 20s and 30s, and they all wanted to fuck me extremely badly, even though some of them were in relationships or some of them were married. It was the fact that they had like an 18-year-old guy there. I mean, imagine it's like if you have a bunch of 30-year-old men and one really hot 18-year-old girl who is funny and attractive and stuff. They'll be like, all be going after that chick. It's just human nature. So, um, I had this letter, and I remember being like, dude, I could get this lady fired. I wouldn't do that though because I'm just not a dick. Um, but I, I don't think so. I didn't want any drama. So, um, there were other women there who were like, like even like my supervisor. She was a supervisor there. She used to do this thing where uh, we had to have a code like put in our put in our it had to be a 3-digit code to like identify us in the system. Like we didn't have like really long passwords like you have today. It was just like a 3 number code. And when I first like got out of training and everything, you got to pick your code. And so of course I picked 069, the 69 pin. And all the women there were like, that was like the funniest thing. And they could have all fucked me too because they knew my code because I was like very open about it. There was another thing I do. We had like a note section for any of the people who were members of the institution. And I would put this note in that, like, whenever I would go as a customer or a member, and the note was like, "This is the best looking person in the area. Treat them with the most respect. They're amazing. They're hilarious. They're so good looking." And the president of the or the wife of the president of the bank was going through the records one time and saw that. Dude, what are you doing to this dog? Okay. And she saw that I noticed it, and I didn't get in trouble, but they got like back then. I don't want to say sexual harassment, but it was a big deal, but it wasn't like today. Like people are really, really harsh about it. Anyway, and the supervisor would, like during training, she would like be really close to me and rub her tit on my fucking arm, and just enough so that it was like accidental, but not really. And she just leaned on me. Anyway, this one girl with this note. It wasn't just a note; it was a letter. I took this letter to my friend, who were also like 18-year-old guys, and I was like, "Hey, have you guys ever been in a situation with like a married woman?" They're like, "Fuck no, we're 18. Shut the fuck up. We don't know married people except for our friends." And I'm like, "Well, woman wants to have an affair." They're like, "Shut the fuck up." Like, no adult woman as we see it wants to have an affair. They're like, "Is she hot?" And I'm like, "She's not bad for of two or she had two children or something." And they're like, I think one of my friends also banked the location and was like, "Which one is she?" Like, I want to go in there and see which one she is. And I was like, "Oh, it's the person who's always in the drive." He's like, "Oh, dude, that works for God." And I'm like, "Well, you're never gonna believe this, but she wrote a letter." They're like, "Dude, let's see." I'm like, "All right, but it's like really crap." They're like, "Dude, get it out." Who can read it? And they read it, and it's like, "I want to suck your dick. I want to your I want to have an affair with you anytime, anywhere. I want to first. I want you inside." They call this like fucking pretty intense stuff for me. And it was just, yeah, I think so. Even though she was older than thing. But the thing is, her family would come in, and I couldn't deal with the guilt of like her husband and children come. And she had I think she had a child or something with her husband, and so her daughter was 12, something like that. So like her daughter and I were closer than she and I were, and that was always weird to me. But um, that this person has children that are like pretty close in age to me. So anyway, I showed them. They're like my friends. I don't know. I'm just kind of. They're like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, I think I wrote her a letter back, just saying like, "You have you have a husband and children. You're not comfortable with this. If anything, let's just go back to friends and pretend this never happened." And I remember she was really pissed when she saw that note. Normally, did. My friend was like, "Dude, the hottest letter I've ever read." I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "What are you gonna do?" And I'm like, "I don't know." Well, I had a few from her, but usually I would just get girls' number. Maybe like you might get like a heart or something like that, but it was never like really graphic. And so he's like, "What are you gonna do with this?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I was just gonna throw it out." He's like, "Can I have it?" I'm like, "You want this note?" He's like, "Dude, this is the hottest thing I've ever seen." I'm like, "Yeah, go for it." So he just would jerk off to it, I think. Um, yeah, that was that. Was there's a story I have. A lady who she ran the vault. She told me this thing. Like, it was like so. Like, allegedly, this is all alleged. I still might be a virgin is the purest of cotton. This ran the vault. Uh, I would like come into work. Sometimes I would be so like go out and I had to be at work at um, like 8, and I would just park and fall asleep in the car. And sometimes like I didn't have a cell phone. I don't think at that time. Did I? I don't think quite yet. I had a cell phone. Something like that. And so there wasn't like an alarm that I had. So they sometimes would knock on my window, like, hey, I'd go into work and somebody would be like, did you go out last night? And I'd be like, yeah. And my thing back then was getting blown by his leg. That was like, not a like, it just it happened. It was like, chicks were blowing dudes. And she's like, this one girl is like, so what? She's like, girl, so maybe. And she's like, you better be careful. Like, why? Like, it's not like they can get pregnant. It's like, yeah, but you're gonna meet the wrong girl is going to suck your dick and isn't gonna she's gonna incubate her mouth and stick it up inside or something. Crazy. He's like, what the fuck? Who would do something like that? She's like, I have a friend who got pregnant that way. And I was like, what the fuck kind of weird ass friends do you have? So these women basically taught me like a lot of adult stuff from women that I didn't think that women would do, cheat on their husband, they so anyway. Yeah. It is wild. Anyway, we were getting to the point of the reason why I said all of this is because when you ask someone out, it's very titillating because there's nothing else to do. So all you think about. And I know when girls would ask me out at the window, it would cause me to think about it a lot. And then the women there who wanted to fuck, it was always on their mind. And if you've ever heard the phrase women are as horny as men, they just better hiding. I agree with that. Okay, are you ready for literati?
Yeah, just one question with and
Yep. It's known as Shomer Nagia. It's known as Shomer Nagia. We're not even supposed to shake hands. But you know, there are yeah, there are some loopholes for medical reasons. You could it's an immediate I won't just say to any of those medical reasons. Uh, but yeah, I didn't have coitus. Coitus is oh, if you want it. So I mean, it's just but it's not considered. It's more a violation than something that you're going to want to do. It's a tradition. Just and, and well, I'm not sure. In Judaism, it's based on Talmudic tradition. Generally, there are no formal wedding ceremonies in the modern age. Generally, these types of ceremonies um, evolved about 1800 years ago. What normally happens in the Bible is you would have an individual was usually a close relative, like a cousin, like a first cousin, or someone in the neighboring village or something of a similar age, and very quickly you get uh, while I have been very religious, and there were times when I've been more religious than I am. I don't sure every single day, but I still got it every single day. So, like I've witnessed prior to the pandemic, every day for more than 2 years straight, every single day, 3 times a day, most days. And there are ebbs and flows with religiosity, and recognize it. And from a normal standpoint, usually the process, you 16, 17, 18 years old, there's a family within the community that has this 8-year-old person of the opposite gender. They arrangement. It's not formally arranged. It's not like they're forced to do it by choice. But if the person is stuck and they have a, the ability to get married, they don't have any type of issue physical standpoint, and additionally within Judaism, and some people are carriers of, especially specifically as case acts. Many times it's testing that's done beforehand. Because what can happen is it's get two people who love each other, they get married, and children, and there's like a 50% chance that they could have a child that will die before. So in order to avoid that, many times testing is done if you get and then you really don't have long, um, drawn out fiance period. You will generally have a find a date and a location of a need. You get chuppah, which is a traditional canopy. You'll need jimbo, which is the document that formalizes your wedding and that you're married to each other legally. And this normally takes place over the course of a month, maybe 2 months for the Orthodox. It happens quite quickly. And in my case, especially around the same Orange County in particular is very conservative tradition. Orange County, even just what you're going to find. We're much more recognized. Live secular lives. There are 100,000 Jews in Orange County alone. Yet, am I sure on a random Monday, 9 men who show up, 10 maybe? I mean, it's not that 100,000 men are coming in, or 50,000 men. Many Jews are sexually alive for periods of their life, and then go through periods, fall to Shiva, it's returning to the past, but they become more religious later in life. There's a period of time where it's called off marriage, basically off path. And this is why many times people have non-Jewish boyfriends, girlfriends, do our best to avoid. But if that can be considered, and get older, generally, there's a period when Jews live between 13 Jewish male until their these or something. There's a lot of exposure. So people think of Israel where so there's a lot of intermixing. There's a lot of Jews of the American diaspora, Jews outside of Israel, intermingle with secular, any secular group of because of the intermixing specific families and people in to diaspora Israel. There's this mission I like many Jews that generation and exploring and never I've avoided any kind of on relationship and had a lot of fun. As I got older, it became that had periods of complete years as I have been for at least 5 years now. And I don't really, it doesn't bother me. Many people are like, oh, how do you do the whole live streaming thing and not have a girlfriend or, not have that. Fortunately, or unfortunately, however you I have a lot of experience, so I have a lot to do. And I know the light at the end of the tunnel means that I see on Instagram, I'll be able to have a better every woman wants to be in a relationship or have a relationship with. And whether that's entirely accurate, it has yet to be seen. But it's like a risk that I take. And I think you asked me that, all right, you have to be essentially for, let's say. But after that 5 years, any of would quit. 99% of men quit.
Yeah.
I agree. And no guy can really do that though. Even like billionaire guys, they all have something that stop them. They either have a previous relationship, with marriage, they have children. But I'm saying in like a completely perfect world, most men would be like, all right, I'll do it. There are stories that specifically a rabbi who comes to mind. There are many. So one is known as Shimon and Yochai. For approximately 11 years spent in a cave without having any female touch, and really one of the big early Kabbalistic thought. And his passing is celebrated within his name with huge bonfires and generally celebrated what we call uh, it's a period of 30 generally between, or it's usually an early mid. It's called Lag BaOmer. And I think these other rabbis, I didn't know here, but then from there, there's like a greater, at that point, like we're able to go, I don't want to say that rabbi was able to go shook. Wanted with Jerusalem proper, but he was celebrated. And in my own way, I have like sometimes before I go to bed, all the chicks and just chicks who I've slept with because again, maybe a virgin. I lose track of 42. I do for them. So like when you have those numbers, I'm not saying that that's what Chamberlain numbers, but that's more women than most men living, and it's far more women than most men generations ago, which usually maybe fortunate have a one woman. So to have those kind of numbers, it's like uh, a a nice appetizer for what I anticipate to be the most amazing feast. What I mean by that, every single hot chick that I see on Instagram or models or whatever, they're gonna see my stream and they're like, this person sacrificed a lot and become extremely powerful. And they are human history. Their stream is the most important stream of human history. I want to be on that stream. I want to be part of history. I want that. I want to be a person, and I'm okay with that. If that all comes to reality, great. If it doesn't, I took a risk. No big deal. I find at this moment, if somebody ended my stream, God forbid, I could go the next 10 minutes at the corner of Pico Robertson in Los Angeles and get a good. And from there, I know in my religion to be able to win over her family and to get married very soon. Just the confidence that I have. And um, I know it's true because I've seen in the past. I've had guys, one of my friends, they were like, "Why aren't you?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm busy with my career." There are entire blocks of this area, Pico Robinson, Los Angeles, of women that would bend over backwards to be with you. And I'm like, no,